Hey guys, Dylan Allen from Allen Endurance Coaching. Just finished my run, and I've had several requests from folks lately to post my stretching routine so that there would be a resource for the folks that are kind of new and want to make sure they're hitting all the bits and pieces they need to after a workout for injury prevention and to work on increasing your range of motion. So that's what we're going to do today. So yeah, I always start laying on my back, stretching my glutes one at a time, keeping the other leg out. That way the hips stay flat instead of rotating up when you pull on your legs, because you notice pulling me up, you notice my hip starts rotating. And I'm not actually getting any more stretch out of my glute there, my hip, but if I straighten my leg out, the weight of my leg is going to keep that hip down, and now I actually get a decent stretch. And generally, unless I have something that's really talking to me, the whole lead stretch for, 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds, just a nice, easy, static stretch. If there's something I really need to work on, I'll use some P and F stretching, which we'll demo here in a little bit. After the glutes, going to stretch the leg over, stretch out that T-band, the piriformis, kind of stretched out there. It's a little bit different angle than you can get with the figure four stretch, which we'll do in a bit. But it feels pretty good. Let you stretch the lower back a little bit. And the objective isn't to get hike your leg up as far as you can. It's just get a nice little good stretch through the hip right here. I'm probably not going to be perfectly symmetrical in terms of the time spent on each leg, talking to you guys. And Tangerine's helping out here. But notice here, I got my arm stretched out to help kind of keep my shoulder down. Otherwise, you have a tendency to kind of roll this way, roll towards the direction of your foot. But if you stick your arm out and your head out, you have a little bit of a tendency to kind of keep this shoulder down a little more. So you're getting a little more rotation out of the trunk and the hip, so you get a better stretch. After that, we're going to sit on up. I like to stretch on a towel because I get pretty sweaty. And it's a lot easier to throw the towel in the wash than mop my floors. So. But with figure four stretch here, or a hamstring stretch, we want to make sure our hips are square. We don't want to be reaching sideways. We want to be perfect. We want to be squared up, so our hips and our shoulders are facing directly in front of us. And then if you're only going to reach with one hand, reach with the opposite hand for that ankle and that toe. Back up a little bit. And better view there. But notice I'm keeping my core upright and bending from the hips straight forward. Because it doesn't matter how much you can hunch your shoulders, we're looking to get a stretch in this hamstring. If you keep that core intact as you lean forward from the hips, you're going to get a better stretch. And again, we're just going to hold it for 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds, depending on how rough the workout was and how much you need to work on the range of motion in that particular muscle group. And you don't have to have a ton of flexibility to be, fairly injury resilient in terms of your hamstrings. For instance, Mo Farah, Eliud Kipchoge, those guys they can't touch their toes with a straight leg. So obviously you can be a fast runner. And those guys have a pretty good track record for not getting hurt. Granted, they have really good biomechanics, so they can do more reps without getting hurt. But you don't have to have super flexible hamstrings to not get hurt. But it does help mitigate some of the day after muscle soreness if you get a good stretch in after your run, especially on recovery days. Kind of help work the full range of motion, kind of work any kinks out. And I always like to do the butterfly stretch. It's something that I kind of accidentally neglected for a little while and eventually caught up with me. And it's a little tight, but that's okay, And again, we want to keep that core upright. It doesn't matter if your feet are out here or if you can get them all the way in. And you don't need to try to get your head on your feet. But we do want to keep that back flat and lean forward from the waist. And I'm going to be willing to bet most folks are going to get a pretty good stretch right through the groin right here with that. Coach Tangerine's being an awesome assistant today. Just got back from my run, so she's looking for a little extra attention. So next up, we can get the piriformis. And you can do this by either getting on 3 points, so 2 hands and 1 foot, or you can do it sitting in a chair, or you can do it in pigeon pose. It's all the same stretch. The point is you should feel the stretch kind of right through here, working on that piriformis that a lot of runners end up having trouble with. There we go. But, again, keeping that back flat, we just kind of want to lean into it. And you can be suspended, you can have your rear end on the ground, either one's fine, as long as you're getting a decent stretch. And so for some folks, it's going to be here. Some folks, you get a little more of a stretch here. Some folks, it's going to be a little further back. Some folks, you're going to be hugging your knee. That particular sweet spot is going to change from person to person, and that's okay. That's the beauty of doing it on 3 points here, is you kind of wiggle around until you find the sweet spot for you. But it's an important one. It's a good way to help keep those nasty IT band problems at bay. Another good one that I will admit I don't see a lot of runners actually doing. We spend a lot of time when we're stretching our calves really focusing on our gastroc, the kind of the big meaty part, but we don't spend a lot of time thinking about stretching the soleus, or the bottom part of our calf, or the bottom of our foot. And I think this may be part of the reason why we have so many runners with plantar fasciitis issues and Achilles issues. But if you start sitting on your back foot, and then you just bring that other leg in, and if you wrap your hand under your toes, like so you're kind of pulling up on your big toe, and then you can just lean into your knee so you can stretch everything all the way from the tip of your big toe all the way up through your calf. You're going to get a pretty good stretch out of it. You don't have to be super aggressive on it either. You may not have like super great range of motion in your ankle joint, regardless of what your Achilles or the bottom of your foot's doing. So you don't need to overdo it. But just a good stretch there. Again, somewhere between 10 and 30 seconds, depending on when it feels good. If you hold it too long, it's going to start the muscle. If you hold any static stretch too long, the muscle is going to start kind of contracting on it and kind of fighting that stretch. And it's a natural reflexive thing to kind of protect the integrity of our tissues. That way we don't, rip stuff in half in our normal day-to-day life. That being said, understanding the mechanism of how it works is kind of what's behind the concept of PNF stretching. All right. So next up, our quads. And you can either do this standing up, you can do it laying on your side. I personally like to do it in a 3-point stance. But to get your back knee on the ground, front foot on the ground, so you're in a good lunge position, you can put, if you're stretching your right hip and quad, you can put your right hand on the ground. I normally use a fist just because it gives me that extra, 2 inches. And then you pull this foot up if you have the range of motion, and you should be able to feel that stretch in, what's my right hip and right quad, and really kind of push that hip into it, and you'll get a pretty good stretch. If you don't have the range of motion to grab your foot, you can still get the same stretch here, or you can do this by putting your knee on your couch, and your foot on the back of the couch. The other way you can do this is you can lay on your side. I'll demonstrate this one, stretch my left leg so I get both sides. And you start curled up in the fetal position. And again, kind of grab your foot around the big toe, and the leg you're going to stretch, just grab it right around the ankle, and pull that leg back. Notice we're fundamentally in the same position. We're just rotated ourselves 90 degrees on our side. Our foot and our knee, if you were to draw a line between them, be just like being on the ground. And we can stretch that left quad and that left hip. The trick is to not try to pull your heel to your rear end back here. What we want to do is we want to pull that heel back and open it up. And the big reason for doing this is so we're stretching that quad. And that's why you don't put big stacks of stuff in your office which your cat can get into. But we're trying to stretch the quad and hip flexors. And so if we just pull our foot back to our knee, to our rear end here, we can get a stretch out of our quad, but we're putting a lot of pressure on our knee. Whereas if we're in the same position, but we get the hip extended, we can stretch the hip flexors as well, and the psoas, and the quad, but it's spreading the pressure over 2 joints instead of just 1. And so for those of us that have chronic knee issues, I've had several clients that have arthritis, it's a good way to take some of that pressure off the knee. That way it doesn't hurt. After that, we gotta stretch our gastroc, the upper part of our calf. And I typically like to do this either leaning on the counter or in a push-up position. And you can just, one foot, and right here I'm stretching my right leg. And you can put your other foot over it, but you don't have to. But the key is to have that leg that you're stretching straight. I'll demonstrate on my other leg now. Notice my left leg here, it's straight, so I'm getting a good stretch right here through my gastroc. And there's a lot of injuries that come from really, really tense, overused calves. And those are kind of the big stretches in a nutshell. If I forgot anything, let me know. But that should about get you after you get done running. So it's a good idea to stretch your core. You know, you can do some cat-cow, you can do some cobra. Get a lot of folks get tight in the traps if you have a tendency to kind of have your shoulders up. So it's always a good idea, if you got the time, stretch your chest out, stretch your shoulders out. Running is a full body exercise if you do it right. It's just more of the load is on our lower body than our upper body. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and yeah, hit that thumbs up on the like, because every little bit helps. So if there's anything else you'd like to know about, just hit me up, let me know. And as always, train smart. Hey guys, I noticed when I was editing the video that I didn't include any PNF stretching. Video is long enough at this point though that I think I'm just going to make that into next week's video. So stay tuned and we'll hit that next time. Take it easy. Train smart.